Good evening, and welcome to the Blue Tribune. Today, we're breaking down a tense and revealing moment from Capitol Hill, an exchange that many are calling one of the most pointed hearings in recent memory. In a sharply focused line of questioning, Representative Jason Crow of Colorado, a combat veteran himself, confronted Secretary Pete Hegseth with his own military record and exposed what Crow argues is a troubling double standard between Hegseth's past leadership principles and his present rhetoric. Crow began by establishing common ground. Both men serve as infantry officers, platoon leaders, and combat veterans in counterinsurgency environments. Crow reminded the room that these experiences are among the most demanding leadership tests imaginable, where lives depend on trust, discipline, and cohesion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Kane, Secretary Hegseth, and Mrs. McDonald. You're doing a great job today, Mrs. McDonald. Secretary Hegseth, we have a lot of things in common. In fact, our careers started the same way. We were both infantry officers. We were both platoon leaders. We both deployed our platoons to combat in a counterinsurgency environment. There are very few better leadership training grounds than that experience, and it's that experience that I want to transport us back into time, back to Lieutenant Hegseth and Lieutenant Crow. There are a lot of things that make a leader and that make a unit effective. Would you say that unit cohesion is important?
Unit cohesion, amongst many, is very important, yes, sir.
It's an important element. And part of that is making sure that all members of your unit felt included in that team, correct?
Far more important that every member of that unit felt capable to do the mission and united in that mission.
But that they were included and felt part of the team as well.
I wouldn't use the word inclusion, sir, but yes, they were cohering as a team, yes.
And that you reduce tension and infighting and points of tension between your platoon members so that you can focus on the mission. That was a part of the regular job.
Absolutely. That's why I've said that our diversity is our strength is the single dumbest phrase in military history.
And words are important.
Our unity is our strength. And so unity amongst members, despite differences of backgrounds, race, whatever that is.
And I agree with you on that.
Together on a mission.
And words, part of that is words are important and setting the tone is important, correct? When you're a leader.
All aspects of leadership, mostly leading by example.
Did you ever tell them your political affiliation?
Guidance.
Did you ever tell your platoon members your political affiliation?
We certainly discussed lots of topics, and I'm sure my political affiliation.
Did you ever ask them theirs?
No, their political affiliation was never a concern to me.
Do you remember this portion of the manual? It says, if you've killed two innocents, you've set yourself back more than you've moved forward. Do you still agree with that?
I would have to take a look at the manual, but obviously no one in warfare is seeking to kill innocents.
Okay. Because it's important to show why we're different from the enemy. Because we're not the enemy, right? We're different from our adversary. Would you agree with that? We have different morals and different values.
We are not the enemy, sir.
We have different morals and we have different values than the enemy.
We have a code, a uniform code of military justice.
So the answer to that is yes.
Our formations that
you're not trying to compare us to Al-Qaeda and ISIS, are you? We're different.
I know the code of the United States military and army that I signed up for.
You can't tell me whether we're different?
Right hand.
You're not willing to say we're different?
Of course we're different.
Okay, thank you.
It's absurd.
Because it's important that everybody feel included and that people weren't excluded, correct? That would be antithetical to leadership.
I'm sure my platoon contained Republicans, Democrats, and independents, and I had no idea what their affiliation was.
Okay, that was actually my next question, so I appreciate you answering that. You led your unit in a counterinsurgency environment, and you interacted with civilians, correct?
Interacted with members of the civilian population in Iraq, sure.
Yep. And you were, in fact, a COIN instructor, a counterinsurgency instructor, correct?
In Afghanistan in 2011 and 2012, I was the senior counterinsurgency instructor.
And you signed off on a manual. There's actually a counterinsurgency manual that you signed off on and helped create. And your name is on that manual, correct?
We were a part of creating a lot of content at the COIN Academy, yes.
That's why I'm trying to reconcile the fact that we learned many of the same lessons as platoon leaders about unit cohesion, making sure that people were included, that we didn't ask people's political affiliation, that we interacted respectfully with civilian populations, that what a leader says matters, that the tone you set matters, that we are not the enemy, that we are different from them, we lead differently, we have different morals. How can I reconcile that experience and those lessons learned from Lieutenant Hegseth to now Secretary Hegseth, where you say things like what you just saw here, making us equivalent on the same standards as our adversaries, doing the same things that ISIS and Al-Qaeda would do? How can you possibly reconcile that? I can't. And just the other day down at Fort Bragg in our beloved 82nd Airborne Division, sitting there while we politicize the military and pull our paratroopers into politics, booing elected officials, booing politicians with whom you agree.
From there, Crow zeroed in on unit cohesion, pressing Hegseth to acknowledge its importance. While Hegseth agreed cohesion matters, he rejected the language of inclusion, instead insisting on unity. Crow countered by underscoring what cohesion truly means in practice, minimizing internal divisions, ensuring every service member feels part of the mission, and keeping personal differences, especially politics, out of the ranks. Crow then asked a critical question. Did Hegseth ever share or inquire about political affiliations within his platoon? Hegseth admitted he did not, and that he didn't care to know. Crow seized on this admission, highlighting it as proof that professional military leadership requires political neutrality, something Crow argues Hegseth now undermines through his public statements. The exchange grew more intense when Crow turned to counterinsurgency doctrine. He reminded Hegseth of his own role as a COIN instructor and contributor to official manuals emphasizing that killing innocent civilians is not only immoral, but strategically disastrous. Crow stressed that these principles exist to clearly distinguish U.S. forces from terrorist organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. When Hegseth hesitated to clearly affirm that moral distinction, Crow pressed harder, visibly frustrated that someone who once taught these values now appeared reluctant to defend them unequivocally. Eventually, Hegseth conceded the point, but the damage, many observers say, had already been done. Crow closed with a powerful rebuke of the politicization of the military, referencing recent incidents where service members were drawn into partisan displays, including booing elected officials. He called this behavior antithetical to our values, warning that it erodes the very foundation of a professional, apolitical fighting force. The takeaway from this hearing is clear. Representative Crow used Hegseth's own words, training, and experience to expose a stark contradiction between the disciplined, principled leadership expected of military officers and the rhetoric now coming from the highest levels of defense leadership. At the Blue Tribune, we believe this moment matters. If you believe accountability, truth, and respect for military values still matter, share your thoughts in the comments. If you think this exchange revealed what really happened beneath the surface, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who care about integrity and leadership. This is the Blue Tribune. Thank you for watching.